Hello everyone, my name is Whittle, and welcome to the Darkest Dungeon. This is the recent update they did, the the antique person. That update, whatever that update is. This is the patch of that. We're gonna start a new campaign on New Game Plus, which now features a failsafe. No, we'll just go Darkest. Darkest. I mean, why not? It's the name that it gives it anyways, so let's just roll with that. It's New Game Plus. I beat the game technically this morning at 3 a.m. doing an impromptu 1-year celebration for streaming on Twitch. Recently unlocked this. This is the first time in New Game Plus, and I want to share it with all of you on the YouTubes. Whoever's watching, if anybody's watching. Some people are. I'm sure like 1 or 2 people might watch. If you're watching, welcome. Moving on. New Game Plus. Darkest Dungeon. First time through with the new update. It's gonna be good. I feel it. I feel it.
You will arrive along the old road.
It also breaks the introduction, apparently. That's not a... That's unfortunate. I would have liked the introduction to play. But when you don't know what you're doing, lo and behold, things happen.
Brigands have run up these lanes. Keep to the side.
I thought I'd turn that off.
The hamlet is just ahead.
Turn off that tutorial.
Dispatch this thug in brutal fashion, that all may
We don't
hear
need
of
the
your
tutorial.
arrival.
So, the new update, Antiquarian update, brings with it a new class, and if I recall, some changes to the gameplay, some changes to balance. 500 gold off that, that's impressive. For instance, this is different. Transcendent Terror. Surely nothing good can come of dialogue with the dead. And it's right, nothing good will come off of that. Don't touch that, don't talk to it, move on, go to the final room, ignore it. Don't talk to him.
Send these vermin a message.
So we have 2
The
surprises.
rightful owner has returned. And
Why am I talking about it? It's a tutorial, everyone does it. This guy does Rain of Whips or point blank shot, this guy does a rush shot in the background. We have to kill him first with everything we have, otherwise we can't really deal with him, otherwise we split our forces and it's not really purposeful. Ow. I'd rather you not do that. At all. I'm operating under the assumption that you all know what Darkest Dungeon is, and if you don't, I should probably use the tutorial to explain it. So Darkest Dungeon is a rogue-like dungeon crawler of sorts, is what I would classify it as. And he dead? He's dead. Nope, he's not dead. Almost dead, but not dead. And the story, the driving point of the plot, is that your old ancestor owned this house in the back corner over there. Stop shooting. I don't need a death's door right now. Don't need a death's door, and I want you to die to bleed so that we can remove your body and not have to deal with the body.
Size alone does not dissuade the sharpened blade.
Started messing around with stuff, lost the manor, and now you have to go back and claim it. Claim your birthright, which it says so in the introduction, which we didn't get, sadly, but what are you gonna do? Oh, honey, why? No, we get to go. Dismiss, finish him up.
Press this
There we go.
advantage. Give them no quarter.
Now, so that's the main driving point. You gotta reclaim your hamlet, and there's 4 main areas. We'll get into that later. There's numerous classes, I think 16, 17, something along those lines. You crawl through the dungeons in a map. As you go, there's curios to interact with, which are these little objects. There's treasure rooms, there's items, there's trinkets, which are the buff items of sorts. You have skills. You have 8 skills in total. No, 7. You have 7 skills in total. You can only use 4 though. Your characters have quirks, they have stats, they have armor, they have levels, they have debuffs, resistances, they have camping skills, which we can get into later once we get onto a medium. A lot of things are going on. Main operating gameplay mechanics is the HP, which if they hit 0, they go on to something called Death's Door. They're not dead, but if they take any more damage, including a damage over time, a dot, or any external damage from anywhere else, they automatically either do they do automatically, it's not either. They do a death blow roll, RNG roll, which for most people is 67. There's trinkets to up it, there's trinkets to down it, it happens, whatever. But the main operating factor is that if they hit 0, they're not dead, but if you don't handle their HP, they will die. They can hit death's door as many times as they can. They can ring death's door, and what I mean by that is if they hit death's door, they hit 0. If they ring it, they do a death blow check. They can ring it as many times as they want if they keep on getting good rolls. If not, then they die, and they just simply automatically die. So the HP is the gameplay factor. Damage over times, dots, gameplay factor. You saw the bleed dismass with his open vein. Applies 2 points of bleed for 3 rounds. A round is a turn, basically, on the character. It's not the entirety of the round. Outside of HP, the other factor is stress. Stress is from 0 to 200. At 100, it does a virtuous check. And the virtuous check decides if they get a malicious virtuous or a benevolent virtuous type of affliction. And for the most part, they're malicious, and they end up increasing stress for the rest of the squad, generally, or just making you have a bad time. The only way to get rid of that is to have them stress heal in the town, which again we can get into later. But as of right now, no stress, not a lot of stress. If they hit 200, they die automatically. They have a heart attack and they die on the spot. Doesn't matter about HP, no death blow check, they just die. So needless to say, you don't want to have have heart attacks happen. Heart attacks are auto kills and they are terrifying. So naturally, units with stress heals are kind of valuable, but that's again further down the road. That's not really right now.
Such as it is.
This is the hamlet.
This squalid hamlet, these corrupted lands.
This is basically, if any of you are familiar with XCOM, which you should be,
in time, you
the
will know
game is split into
my failings.
More or less, the game is split into
Most will end up here, covered in poisoned
the strategy
awaiting merciful
and the ant farm,
oblivion.
or the strategy and the tactical. And the tactical is what we just went through with the tutorial.
Men, soldiers and outlaws,
that was week 1.
fools and corpses.
Oh yeah, we have 91 weeks.
Will find their way to us now that the road is clear.
91 weeks until end game, till the game is over, or 13 deaths till the game is over. It's either or. New Game Plus introduces a fail state that normal game doesn't, but that's for New Game Plus explicitly. Exclusively is the right word there. So, this is the strategy layer. We were just in the tactical layer. This is the strategy layer. You have Stagecoach, which is your barracks, basically. You have people come in every week. You can pick them up. Eventually, this is new to the update. You can upgrade what they get, and they automatically come in with new items. Or they'll come in at level 3 or whatnot, so you can not have to level them up. We had to go through that with the Twitch campaign for a little bit. You have Panic in the Abbey and the Tavern, which reduce stress and also get rid of afflictions. You have the Sanitarium, which deals with diseases and quirks. You have the Guild, which deals with perks. The Blacksmith, which deals with the armor and whatnot. Nomad Wagon, trinkets, and Survivalist with camping skills. These all together are what affect your heroes going into it. As of right now, there's not much to do other than take these 4 and go on the first quest. It is here,
of madness and
which is in the ruins. The
Your
ruins.
work begins.
The ruins is an interesting place. They have a lot of unholy skeletons is the main characteristic. So all of these areas, if you don't know, all of these, we could just do that. Let's do that. No, let's not do that. All of these areas have characteristics and enemies of certain types and damages of certain types and ways you have to anticipate what's going on. There are general enemies that occur in all of these areas, but there's also specific enemies to these areas. For ruins, not Dismas, Reynold the Crusader is the big damage dealer. Most of his skills deal damage to unholy. That being said, he's also not the best of whatnot. That's a great little quirk to start off with. There's not really anything different about this. We don't have any trinkets. We don't have anything to do other than go ahead and just do provisions, which is basically your items
Measured now in
to take
gold.
on the coming
in blood.
expedition. Now, this is short. We can probably get away with 12 food. If you do a food check, it takes 4 food, so this gives us 3 food checks, which we shouldn't really need, but you never know. Shovels are used to clear obstacles or break into things. You never know what you need them for. Sometimes you need them, sometimes you don't. We'll take 2 herbs, which allows us to interact with curios. We can get into that when we get there. I'll take 3 keys. I'll take 3 keys just in case. Take 3 holy waters. That's the general interaction. Here we go. For the area that we're going into, which is the ruins. And we will take 8 torches. Now, there is a debate between... This is the general... This is what I would do for the first loadout. Just to... This is safe. This is a safe loadout. If we use all of this stuff, I'll be amazed. If we use all of these items, I will be amazed. Go ahead and embark. While it's loading, I'll talk. There is a debate between the community about the value of... I forgot to name people. Can I do that here? I can do that here. Okay. I'll do that right now. We'll do that before we get started. So we'll do... promote... Promote. 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 I need 7 as the Vestal. Now, obviously these units are all different. The Crusader deals damage. The Highwayman deals damage. The Plague Doctor can buff, stun, apply Blight, which is a dot over damage over time sort of thing. And then the Vestal, which can heal. Now... These are all kind of different. And they're set up with different ranks. So you have their preferred positions where they can go, where they can use their skills depending on what skills they have. As if you notice, they change, and they are generally, so he's first rank, second rank, third rank, fourth rank. They kind of sit where these are. Joker, yeah. Kind of depend where they are, and if you notice, you also get a preferred target of what your skills generally can hit. You kind of start to get a feel for where they are and where these people can hit, but that's talking too much. We're just going to go ahead and move on. Continue forward into the Darkest Dungeon with our first little expedition here with the main group. This is always
A fortune.
a tutorial, and these groups are always the same. These 4 are always the same, your first 4.
There is much to be found in forgotten places.
And we can move on. Now, again, with stats. For instance, our Dismas, our Highwayman, rather, is a speedy individual. He has 5 from his weapon base, and then he has 2 from his quirk, which is quick reflexes. He automatically has +2 speed. What else? It varies, obviously. So we have 7 to 14 damage here, which is huge damage for Dismas. But we only have 5 to 10 here, 4 to 7 here, 4 to 9 here. So it changes, their characteristics change. There's a dodge characteristic to them as well as their HP, accuracy mods, crit mods. The skills themselves have damage modifiers, stun checks, torch interactions, party heals, debuffs, buffs. It becomes very involved very quickly once you get going. But these first couple groups, more or less trivial in terms of what's going on. Now, if we can stun one, we can kill this one, ideally, or we can stun it as well.
Require only the strength to follow it.
Now, these 2, kind of plain Jane. Idiots, nothing special about them. Nothing really exceedingly interesting. Other than we can just hit them. Now, we can buff up Dismas to go a little bit quicker than him, which is perfect. He only has 1 anyways. We can slice him, and we can be done with that little encounter. Now, these chests generally have a effect of some sort, and it's good to check your resistances. If I recall correctly, they're normally Blight or Bleed, so it turns into... I think it's Bleed, so we're gonna go ahead and go Dismas. Check that. Not always gonna bleed. Might have stuff in there, which is great. So we can have busts. We can have shovel. We can have some gold. Now, the debate between the 2 sides of the community when it comes to torch and torchless is the difference in loot. If you notice, we have ++ scout and ++ monster surprise. That's because our light is above 75. Now, if we drop it to 0, the monsters are more likely to surprise us, but we are more likely to, I think, crit. And we have increased loot, which means the little expeditions we have going on here are more profitable than not. Which is good if you're in need of money in busts and early on. Bad because it also increases the stress tremendously that you'll be seeing down the road as you go. Now, if we could stun out her, keep her from incurring more stress, that'd be best. We could kill him, and we do. We do the perfect amount of HP. Now, dead bodies, if you've noticed, leave corpses, and certain skills can remove the corpses, but this is not always the case. Some corpse, well, no, it's pretty much always the case. You will remove the corpse if you hit, or you can just whack the corpse himself. I don't recommend it, generally, unless you can't get to them and you have nothing else to do. But that's just my own personal opinion. So if you've noticed, the torch is being affected by that skill. It increases torchlight every time you use it. Plague Doctor's stun skill removes those corpses, which is great. Now this little slippery individual is pretty hard to hit. She's gonna resist the stun because she's gonna resist it anyways. But we need to start hitting her if we hope to actually get out of this without incurring any more major stress. Bleed, bleed. So now she is dead to dot, which is great. You can abuse that mechanic slightly on the fact that if you dot something and it will die, but it's slower than everybody else, you can spend the rest of your turns healing up or reducing stress. And at the end of the turn, you don't have to kill them. The dot will kill them for you. And you still get all your turns. So dots can help in those scenarios more than not. Now, we're going to go ahead and go past the curio. We're going to go to the treasure room. More so
in radiance
than anything. You can also mouse over room battle with treasure, room battle with curio. I just know them now visually. Yellow is treasure. Blue is kind of curio. The kleptomaniac 4 watts is going to go ahead and steal that. It's not anything super valuable, so I'm not terribly annoyed by that, but at the same time, I'm terribly annoyed at that because, A, please stop stealing stuff we need it for the hamlet. Now, we have them surprised, which is good for us. Bad if we let them stay and do what they're doing. We're going to go ahead and plow the field with Jeff the Hobo. And we're going to try to remove any damage we can. I like to go for stress damagers first, but that can't always be the case. Now, we could blight. It is a 100% chance to blight for 4 damage, at the same time a blight resist of 20, so it's about an 80% chance to blight. And it will deal 1 damage when it's applied and deal 4 damage per tick, so it will die in a couple turns anyways. I would much rather stun, clear the corpse, move you up, and get us a set and ready to handle you next turn. Now, if we could stun him, that'd be perfect, but we're not going to. He's going to go ahead and rend. Crits apply stress to you. He debuffed us to increase our stress damage, which is unfortunate. And we now have 1 ticks of bleed for 5 turns, 5 rounds on Dismass. Keep on increasing the stress. That is not enjoyable. Going to keep on stacking that blight. So now we have 2 ticks for 5 turns of sorts. I'm gonna go ahead and stun her again. Keep her in check. I'm gonna go ahead and slice and dice, so that's bleed, 2 damage, not enough. We're 2 off from being dead. Now if we AoE, you could kill him, and it's done. The bleed does carry over. We're gonna go ahead and do a big heal onto 4 watts from Hollow. And we're gonna hope and see what happens there. It's probably the best case scenario we got. Now, that might crit. Your crits reduce stress. So you critting helps reduce stress across the squad. Sometimes killing an enemy reduces stress on its own. which is a nice little
This
interaction,
expedition at least
but it doesn't
promises
happen
success.
all the time. Now, deeds are big. Deeds were big in the previous build. Deeds were huge in the previous build. And I have to wonder if it's the same for these builds, for this build. But I don't know. Good dodge. The trap. Sometimes you can see ahead in areas, sometimes you can't. And it just simply
Spirits are
happens.
lifted, and purpose is
There's nothing
made
you can really do
clear.
about it in all blatant honesty. So we have a double scout. We have one more fight to go in this upcoming room. Ooh, that's a trinket for us. That's a trinket. We'll go ahead and drop the anti-venom, pick up the painting. Probably could have kept the anti-venom, but that's not the end of the world.
The match is struck.
There's a hunger check for
blazing
us,
star
which we
is
have a
born.
ton of food anyways. We went really safe on the food. Now, you can eat food yourself to increase health, but you're limited to the amount you can eat. So he could still eat technically, but he's right now full on health. So, or full eating. So he can't really take any more food at that present moment. But that's fine. It's not a big deal at present moment. It is what it is. Now, this group is an unfortunate grouping for us. This guy will stress us out rather quickly. If you've noticed, when I mouse over them, I can see certain skills they have and abilities that they add. For example, Tempting Goblet applies stress. That is something that I can personally see because of what's going on here. Now, we could stun if we could have. We don't, but if we could have stunned him out. Gotten a little bit better of an example here. Now, if we can deal damage, a little bit more damage would have been nice. So we're 1 damage off of what we want. Now, if we could stun him to help control and mitigate a little bit of the damage, that would be best. He's gonna dot, get the turn before us, which is fine. He's gonna throw the goblet at us, which we take stress damage, but now we can more or less ignore him. We're gonna go ahead and crit 4 stress damage off of Jeff the Hobo. I need to start remembering names. Jeff the Hobo. From there, we can... This is the last fight, so health is not a big deal as long as we don't hit death's door and get a death blow. We can kind of ignore that. Stunning him might be better. That was the better move. He's going to go ahead and dead weight. Now, dead weight would throw us back a little bit, which is fine, and apply a stun. That's unfortunate, but that is what it is. Now, here, we can remove him. He will die to dot. Then we're down to these little numbskulls. We can go ahead, stun resisted, so we'll go ahead and do you. Ooh, resist both. That's an unfortunate check for us. Good dodge, though. Great dodge. We will ignore him right now, and we'll try to get rid of this individual if at all possible. He's gonna go ahead and Axe Blade, that's fine. Nothing really new there. If we could stun out you, that'd be perfect.
The promise of
We'll
safety.
probably do a Field Plow next turn, because we can do 3 to 4 damage if we hit. They have a protection parameters on them, but that's not a big deal right now. We can just go ahead and do what we want. Let's buff up Reynolds since we can't stun. Sorry, let's buff up 4 watts. Nothing really to do otherwise. If we can stun out, that'd be perfect. If we don't, we can't. It's unfortunate the stun base that is at 100, or we could not kill him. Let's go ahead and stun. Let's go for the stun, which will consume his turn, which gives us 1 more turn to deal with him, since generally we're faster than he is. In addition to Jeff the Hobo and 4 watts just whacking away, that'll be the mission. That'll be all of them. So
Horrors brought low and
that's the adventure over.
to
We
the
still have
mud.
our heirloom chest to grab. All of those. Now we could duck back. We could duck back. Which we might want to do. For the curios. The quest is over. But we can still go do something. And seeing as we have a lot of items and a lot of things to do, let's, and especially because it's the first week, let's go ahead and duck back through. Now, when you walk back through dungeon that you've already scouted, you don't lose as much torch. If you notice, we were losing about 1 bar to 1 tick. Every time we went through a hallway. Now we're only losing 1 value every time we walk through a part of the hallway, which is very different than what we were just undergoing, than what we were just undertaking. Go ahead and disarm the trap. Now, Dismass, I already know this preemptively, but Dismass has the best trap disarm, so he's the best choice. Disarming traps also reduces stress, which helps if someone's about to panic and they have a decent enough trap disarm. You can have them take apart the trap, reduce their stress, and keep them from having a panic check of sorts. Now, stunning him would be ideal. Perfect. And we're going to go ahead and go big onto that individual. I'm going to stun out you. And we're going to have 4 watts kill him. That's a new line. Obliterated. Exodia! Obliterate! We can go ahead. 100 chance. Won't happen on there. Could happen on there. I want to clear the corpse if nothing else. Put him up front. We can focus onto this individual, seeing as the other one is still stunned. Doesn't really have anything going on. Or not. I wanted damage, not a stun. Graveyard Slash coming in. That's fine. Not a big deal. 4 watts. Whack out the back. Try to whack out the back. 1 damage out. This could deal 1 damage. Perfect. Not going for the stun, going for the kill. Judgment's a better skill than that, and the second I get Judgment, I will be very excited when that day comes. Let's go ahead, buff up 4 watts via Arcanator. Jeff the Hobo, lay into him just ever so little. Set it up for 4 watts to get a killing blow. Golden. Now, this statue has bonuses, or if you use holy water, reduces stress and heals, which is perfect. Stress is a huge mechanic in this game. If you haven't figured that out, it's rather important. Good to know. Good to manage. They naturally heal stress in the background, but it's not always the best. So that was week 2. That was tutorial in week 2, rather. We go home with a little bit of money. What is that? 6,235 money? That's fine. We go home with 6 busts, 2 paintings, 4 deeds, 4 crests. Not a bad little haul. We have 4 watts Jeff the Hobo, Arcanator, Jeff the Hobo promoted, Hollow promoted. Sorry, Arcanator and Hollow promoted. A good little perk on Hollow. Unfortunate little perk on Jeff the Hobo, seeing as we melee a lot with the Dismass, but that's fine. We can deal with that later. No stress on him though. It's not a bad little scouting mission for week 2. But yeah, this is Darkest Dungeon, and this is going to be fun. We have 91 weeks, now 89 weeks to beat the game. 89 more missions. Clock is ticking, and we have to beat it, so that's that. I've been Whittle, you've been you. It's been a pleasure. And I'm excited to do this. I'm excited to keep going. We're gonna, yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe out there.